Hey, this is Edwin from Making an Impact, owner and founder, CEO of Foxhound Advertising. And this video is all about inbound lead sales calls, how to start the call, and my newest secret strategies, literally for how to start an inbound sales call, but also how to keep working through the entire sales process until the close. Now, if you've got an inbound marketing funnel, you've got clients coming in, booking calls on your calendar, but you don't have deals closing, you're getting on the phone with a lot of tire kickers, if you're wasting a lot of time getting objections, if you're losing control of the call, if you don't like sales, if you feel like you're being too pushy, sleazy, and overly aggressive, if your sales calls are energy draining instead of energy filling, then this video is for you. And in a moment, I'm also going to show you how you can generate more inbound sales calls once you've got this strategy for closing more deals, how you can generate more inbound sales calls, get them on your calendar using a free evergreen traffic method. I'll talk about it here in a second. Also, make sure you watch this video all the way through with a notebook. So if you don't have one right now, take a second, pause it, grab a notebook and a pen, take notes all throughout this, write everything down, because at the end, I'm going to have you circle just one action step you can take away from today and go and implement. Because if you watch this video all the way through, spend the time here, but you don't go, take action, then you've wasted that time. And that's precious life that you've just given up and, haven't done anything, haven't gotten any sort of return on your investment there. So make sure you circle one thing that you can basically go and implement today and keep it really, really simple. Now, when you start these inbound sales calls, everybody tells you got to start with rapport and stuff like that. And I actually did another video where I go really deep on exactly how to open up the calls. But I don't really like using the traditional ways of, asking people where they're from and trying to act all buddy. And like, it just, everybody can sniff it immediately and knows like, you're just trying to sell me on your whole thing. You don't actually care where I'm from or anything like that. So what I recommend doing when you start off the call, again, I got another video where I go really, really deep on this. Number one, just ask them if this is a bad time. Okay. They're going to tell you no, which helps them feel like they're in control. I go deeper into that. Okay. So just ask them, number one, like, hey, we had a chat here at 9:25 a.m. Is this a bad time for you? Nope, it's not a bad time. Okay, cool. Well, before we jump in and get started, do you mind if I just ask, like, what's been the highlight of your day so far? So this is a lot better than asking people how they're doing or where they're from. This is going to get them thinking, so they're going to immediately have to start scratching their head. Highlight of my day, or you can say highlight of their week, either one, or highlight of their weekend. And they're like, oh well, this weekend we took the kids up to Traverse City and we had a great and like, okay, cool, now you're finding out what's important to this person, like they're a family man and it's all about their kids, or whatever else, what other passion that might be inspiring. You're going to find out what's most important to this person, and really get to know them really quickly. And then there's a few other questions you can ask here too that I deep dive in the other video on exactly how to start these calls. Eventually you can start adding a few more questions if you have multiple meetings with this individual. But this is a great question. Just use 24/7 rather than asking people how they're doing. Like I just had so many really good conversations with people just in normal life by just asking them, hey, good to see you. So what's been the highlight of your week so far? And people kind of cock their heads sideways like, oh, I like that question. Well, it was actually and they get talking and you get to hear from them what's important to them. So that's really important there. Now, right after you do that, what you want to make sure you do, if you're writing this down, is ask a why question. Now, this comes from Chris Voss. I go really deep on this in the other video as well, because it's all about how to start the call, but brief overview. The why question you want to avoid as much as possible. You don't want to ask questions that start with why. You actually want to ask questions as often as possible that start with how and what, because those are open-ended and those get people kind of talking and explaining, and you start to pick up the information you need to figure out what's important to them, and then you just tie that to the benefits of your product or your sale, your offer and everything like that. Why questions usually get people to close up and clam down, and they have to be all defensive, and there's all sorts of psychological reasons for this. The only time I would recommend using it is when you want them to defend you. Okay, usually why makes them defend themselves. You're riding in the car with someone and why do you have the window rolled down right now? And it kind of makes people like, well, because I'm hot. And like, you guys start getting at each other, right? But in this case, if you get them to defend you, it's good. So what I like to say is, hey, there's lots of other people out there doing exactly what our company does. Why are you interested in us? Boom, and get them to start defending you. This is key. This is super important. This right here is kind of the linchpin of your entire sales call, because one of three things is going to happen. Either they're going to immediately just be like, I don't know, why should I be interested in you? You tell me. Like, they're going to turn it around on you, and they're going to be all aggressive and be like, tell you to defend yourself. And if they do that, boom, they just immediately disqualified themselves. That tells you right away, there's not a deal on the table here. This person's just price shopping or tire kicking or just trying to get information, or they're not actually sincerely interested. They're not ready to move forward on anything. They're not interested in you. They're not chasing you. They're not pursuing you. That tells you, hey, while this person landed on my calendar, are they really coming inbound and see me as a welcome guest or as an unwelcome pest, right? The other response you're going to get is a wishy-washy answer where they're kind of like, well, I don't know. I saw the ad or I saw your email and I don't know. Okay, so if they can't really give you any concrete reasons for why they see you as being different or better, or they're interested in learning more, same thing. There's no deal on the table. This person's not nurtured enough. And I would end the call right there for both of these people. Maybe for this person, just say like, okay, well, cool. Well, it sounds like you need to do some more homework, learning more about us. How about this? We've got this other free course. You mind if I send that to you? Maybe, let's have you go through that, get some results first, and then we can have this conversation again. You can do the same thing for this person. Because again, they're obviously like interested. They're obviously a prospect, but they are not like a sales qualified lead or anything like that. Nothing close to that yet. And then ideally, which you will probably still get like 5-6 times out of 10, people will just start defending you. They'll just be like, yeah, I was really impressed by the ad, or I really liked what you were saying in that video about this and this and this, and I've got this problem. And they're just going to start sharing with you what's going on in their world and why they're interested in you and why they want you. And that tells you like, okay, great, this person, we're going to green light them. There's a deal on the table here, that they're sincerely interested in what we've got to offer and what we can do to help them. So that's how you start it off. And then, you jump into your questions like you normally would in any sales process, finding out the pains and stuff like that. But you want to do this, and we'll call this kind of more the middle section. Okay, so if they pass here and you start asking, the pain questions or the interrogation, right? And just trying to find out, okay, what's going on in their life. Chris Voss, a lot of this stuff comes from Chris Voss, because he had his book had the biggest lever effect on my sales process. He points out that you got to impress people. You only got 7 seconds to do that. That's what some of this stuff up here is all about. But the best way to impress people that you can actually help them is by summarizing what's going on in their world, right? You need to answer the number one question on the prospect's mind. This is what he says. Do you see what I see? Okay, so that's what they're saying to themselves subconsciously. Do you see what I see? Okay, so this person's coming to you and they've got all sorts of problems or issues that they probably don't know how to solve, or they know how to solve it, but they don't know who's the best person to solve it for them, whatever it is. And all you've got to figure out is, what do they see? And that's what your painful questions should be about. Okay, so your painful questions, or your pain point questions, so what's the biggest challenge with your marketing right now? Or what's the biggest challenge with your assembly line right now? Whatever it is that you're consulting them on, ask the question. As soon as they answer, summarize it right back to them. Got it. So it sounds like, it's been really efficient ever since you guys, hired this new slew of workers, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And they'll either say, yeah, that's right. Okay. So they either say, yes, that's right, which means, okay, cool, they were heard. Or they'll say like, no, it's actually do. And now they actually get to the meat and potatoes. And this is what you want to, hold on to, right? So that's going to be like your benefit that you're going to tie things back to. So let's say like, okay, so you've really sounds like you've really struggled ever since, hiring this new labor force. No, it's actually not just hiring the labor force. It's actually, you know, the systems are outdated that we've been using to train them with. Oh, okay. So it sounds like you've had really outdated training systems slowing things down. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you notice how I kind of like we went down that flow right here and then we landed here. Oh, so actually the real painful point is that their training systems are out of date. And I'm not going to try writing that right now. You get the gist. Okay. And so you would, you know, as you're taking notes or talking with them, you would star that, right? You know, the training systems are outdated. Whatever that pain point is, like that's what you're going to use later when you get to, you know, your pitch and your, you know, instead of just cookie cutter pitching them something from a script, now you're able to tie it to these benefits, right? Or, you know, how this is going to help them. Do you see what I see? Okay, so what I see, what you see, Mr. Prospect, is that your training protocols and SOPs are outdated. We happen to have a system here that's going to update this for this year and da 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 da, and like boom, you can immediately solve what they're doing. And another little bonus thing here is, you know, if you can like kind of open their eyes to a different perspective on seeing things, you know, a good pattern to use is like, let's say now you're getting into the pitch and you've collected like, you know, 3 to 5 of these pain points or whatever they are. And then it's like, okay, well, I definitely think we could help you. Do you mind if I share with you what we got going on our side that I think could help? Yeah, sure. Tell me more. Okay, great. Now you're in the pitch, right? Now you're telling them about your product, your service, your offer, and you're going to tie everything to one of these pain points. A really cool tactic to use here is by helping them see something from a different perspective or unlocking something. So the way I like to do that is, okay, so it sounds like, you know, you're struggling with X, right? So you start with, you know, it sounds like you're struggling with these outdated SOPs, really causing an inefficient process. Most people think, all right, and so then you just tell, you know, say what, you know, they probably think the problem is. Most people think it's the, you know, most people think that it takes a lot of time to keep up with rewriting these SOPs and keeping them streamlined. But actually, all right, so these are your little 3 phrases here you can use as a little formula. But actually, these SOPs can be updated in less than 30 minutes if you use the right formula. Okay, so and by the way, you know, we have the formula that we used. All right, so that's how you bridge this. Okay, so you basically say, sounds like you've got pain point. Most people think that pain point is caused by X, Y, and Z, but actually, here's a different way of looking at it. So you can just use that, and you can use that framework for all 3 or 5 pain points you find that the person has, and then you just tie it to your product, right? But actually, there's this other way of doing it that our product actually does for you, or our system or our offer actually does for you, and kaboom. That's a really quick, easy way you can just attach everything and you know, bridge the gap basically from them feeling like, you know, you see what they see and that your product actually solves their issue. At that point, you know, you're learning, you're collaborating, you know, they're probably interested. Once you are ready to do the close, obviously, you know, I may have to do like just a video separately just on the close itself, because everybody does this a little differently. But one tactic that I like to make sure is included when you get to the close is that you actually have 3 closes in mind. All right, ranked from like greatest to, you know, least great. And I think I got this from, I can't remember his name, something Sullivan, Andy Sullivan or something like that. The guy who the ShamWow guy. I think he's got a book on pitching and closing, and I really like this. This really helped me. Where you have 3 ideal outcomes in mind. Okay, the top one's going to be like your jackpot, right? And this is going to be they buy your highest priced thing, right? Or you know, if you only have one product or one offer, they end up buying, right? And then underneath that, you're going to have your runner up. Okay, so your runner up is that, okay, maybe they don't buy the most priciest, expensive offer we have, but they end up putting a deposit down, or they end up buying one of our lower tier products, you know, basically putting some sort of money down. It's not the biggest thing, but hey, you know, they put a deposit down. So we're cool. We're moving forward. And then, oh, what did I call this one? And go look at my notes. Did I even write it down? Oh yeah, yeah. So the honorable mention. We'll erase that A there. So you got the runner up, and then he calls it the honorable mention. Okay, so the honorable mention is, okay, this is probably not something where you collected cash, but at the very least, they booked a sales call, like a follow-up call, or they booked a decision call, or they gave you a, maybe it's like clearly at the end of the day, they're just like, this is not going to work for me. They've said like flat out, no, I'm not interested. Or you even told them like, I don't think this is going to be a fit for you. This is what we have, but I just don't think it's going to be a fit for you. Still try to go for the honorable mention, which would be either like if you're not booking another sales call with them, hey, who else do you think could benefit from this? Get some referrals from them. Ask them for someone else in their network that they think could actually benefit from a conversation with you. And or things like another honorable mention thing could be kind of like up here where you send them, hey, okay, sounds like we're not going to be moving forward on any business here today. Would you mind if I end up sending you our free course or our free other lead magnet, so you can keep nurturing them and keep warming them up? So just make sure, before your call, you jot these 3 things down so that you're like, okay, at the end of the day, when we get through all of this, I'm not going to be leaving empty handed. I'm going to at least get this thing here. If not close the deal, close the sale, paid in full, or if not, at least getting a deposit. And worst case scenario, I'm walking out of here with more referrals or with another sales call scheduled on the calendar, or whatever else you can think of that would go there. And that's really what I would do to well round your closing process, your sales cycle throughout. Like I said, I'll probably end up having to do like a call or a video specifically about the close itself, because there's some really cool things that Chris Voss recommends as well. Now, if you're looking at this and you're like, great, I got tons of stuff. If you've written down in your notebook, if you've circled one thing that you're going to go implement today and get done today, comment that below, like what's your action step for today? And then if you're looking at this and you're like, okay, great, this is how I should do my inbound sales calls, but I need more inbound sales calls. I need more calls landing on my calendar and people coming inbound chasing me. Then check out my free course. I'll stick this in the links below. It's called How to End the Feast or Famine Customer Acquisition Trap Once and for All. You'll every day you're going to get a different part of the course that goes all into finding new customers and increasing sales, getting more clients. And specifically, I'm going to tack on there and give you a free training that shows you how to get free Google Ads traffic. It's an evergreen method of bringing high intent buyers into your funnel. And you don't have to use Google, like you don't have to pay for Google Ads, but you actually pop up right at the top of Google. I love Google because Google is just like the highest intent search traffic possible. So these people are coming in hot, not just lukewarm. And on top of that, you don't have to, this isn't going to be pay per click, and this isn't going to be SEO. Like it's a newer part of Google that not many people are leveraging yet. They just don't know about it yet. And you don't have to sit there and wait for 6 months for your SEO to kick in while you're writing all these big long blog articles and things like that. So it's really cool. So make sure you grab those. I'll put that link in the comments as well, so you can grab that course. And we'll get you rocking and rolling. Like and subscribe this video. My next video is going to be on inbound marketing sales funnel automation, and basically how to never lose sales again. Once you get people coming in, it'll be real beginner friendly stuff on like just making sure your automation and software and your plugins and everything are optimized for doing that. And until next time, keep up the great work, and as always, stay awesome.